Wow, guys, this CNN reporter repeatedly asked questions to Gavin Newsom to get him to say something negative about President Trump. You guys got to check this video out.
Lawmakers are holding a hearing on the California wildfires 1 month after the deadly blaze began ripping through the Los Angeles area. Dozens of people were killed and thousands of acres destroyed. Entire neighborhoods were wiped out. 1 month on, the fires are fully contained. And now officials are focusing on the massive and grueling cleanup ahead. The economic damage is estimated to be tens of billions of dollars. Yesterday, California Governor Gavin Newsom met with President Trump and held bipartisan meetings with lawmakers trying to secure disaster aid for his state's fire victims. Governor Newsom joins us now for an exclusive interview following his meeting with President Trump yesterday. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's been a very busy trip for you here in Washington. So you spoke to President Trump for more than an hour. Yeah. Tell us about that meeting. How did it go?
He was very gracious to accept the meeting in very short order. We extended an open hand. I've said this often, not a closed fist, and reestablished a partnership and relationship to this fire, to the emergency that's still at hand as it relates to toxic materials that need to be cleaned up, to debris removal, to people, thousands and thousands of families whose lives have been torn asunder. And so it was incredibly productive.
Did you get any commitments from him for aid?
Broad strokes, not specific commitments, but broad strokes. And I have just all the confidence in the world that it's going to be a strong partnership moving forward. Look, cameras have moved on. And the devastation now is truly being absorbed. It's remarkable. As you said, it's just been a month. And people are just coming to grips with the trauma of their lives.
Man, look at this guy, man. I could easily talk like him. We had fires, and we had it over there, and we had it over there, and then we trying to work on it. This guy Gavin Newsom is just a person that's changing his tone because he knows he can't compete with President Trump. He's a guy that said we're gonna Trump-proof California, and we're gonna do the best we can, and we're gonna make sure Trump can't come over here and take what we've built. Guy, it's burning down. Help your community.
Being completely destroyed, memories, memorabilia, generational homes, and so we're trying to do everything we can to distill a sense of well-being, and it's critical that the relationship between the President of the United States and the state of California remain strong and firm in our resolve to fix this.
And we will continue to cover the wildfires and the aftermath and everything on this show. I can assure you of that. You have also been on the Hill meeting with lawmakers. President Trump and House Speaker Mike Johnson suggested that conditions should be attached to any wildfire aid for California, with Johnson claiming state and local leaders were derelict in their duties. Was that discussed during your meetings, and where does that stand, if so, with getting aid in exchange for conditions being met?
It wasn't discussed, and I hope we can move beyond that. Look, I understand the foundational conditions. I think that exists with most things that Congress does in the relationship between states. The states' relationships with cities, there's conditions attached. But some of the conditions that were being bandied about just seem to be, for me, a little bit of noise, a little bit political. At the end of the day, we're all in this together. The president was at a prayer breakfast this morning. I remember Father Cause telling me, we're many parts, but one body. When one part suffers, we all suffer. This notion that we're all in this together. We're in there, take care of the folks in Louisiana, in the Speaker's District. We're here for the folks in North Carolina, Californians, that is, Georgia. People have been impacted by disasters and emergency, and the American spirit is to lend a hand and provide that support, and I expect that will happen for California.
As you know, that President Trump has pressed for California requiring voter ID and changing to the water system. Did that come up with your meeting with him?
We talked about both, yeah.
You talked about both, and did you say you would?
We've been in an ongoing conversation for over, I feel like I told the president when he was on the tarmac last week in Los Angeles, I said, we're picking up on the last conversation we had around water 4.5 years prior. So I will say this, he's very focused on that issue. He certainly targeted some of that in terms of some of the actions he took by executive order.
2 billion gallons of water.
And so we had and that's why it was an extended conversation. I didn't even know people knew how long the conversation was, but it was an extended conversation. And so it was spirited. And look, and it's exactly.
Spirited how so? Bring us into that.
Because we were just, it was an engaging conversation. You know what it was? It was a two-way conversation. And that's what it should be. I mean, just different points of view, expressing a different understanding of the nuances on the ground, but an appreciation to get something done.
Did you tell them the 2 billion gallons of water didn't help with the wildfire recovery?
I think it's been well covered.
Okay.
You hear this, man?
Understood. But look, I kept going back. It wasn't about focusing on the disagreements. It was about focusing on what we have in common. And what we have in common is a desire to support the people of LA and also recognize that in 2028, we've got the Olympics coming to Southern California. We have an opportunity of a lifetime in the next 3 years to do something extraordinary. And I will say this is true, and it's factual, and you got to call balls and strikes. Lee Zeldin is doing an amazing job. He's on the ground today in Los Angeles. They are moving the first phase of the debris removal at record pace. And I think it's that mindset that we brought to the meeting and the mindset that came out of that meeting. The president wants to do something that's never been done, and that is address this crisis with a degree of sophistication and focus to get the job done and get people's lives back.
It's just crazy to me how Gavin Newsom's tone just changes like that, you know? At first, he wanted to Trump-proof California. That failed, you know? He wanted to put out the fires. That failed. He failed the state of California. Gavin Newsom, you're still a vampire, and you wear too much hair gel. Let's keep going, guys. Make sure you check out the end of this video because she tries to ask one painful question, and she fails, and you can just see the look in her face. Let's keep going, guys.
Your relationship with Trump certainly has been interesting over the years. It seems to have taken a more positive turn lately. I mean, he recently called you Newscom.
And not just recently. He's been doing that for years.
Did he say it in the Oval Office yesterday?
Yeah, we had some fun with that. Look.
Okay. So tell us about this. How much of your positive turn, I have to ask this because this is what people are wondering, has to do with the fact you need aid for your state.
Yeah, but it's not even that. We had this relationship. I will say, it's one of the more, I'll leave it to more objective minds, but it's one of the more interesting relationships in politics because we had this relationship going back during COVID. I mean, we were involved in 100 lawsuits going back and forth. I mean, you could look at the tweets back then, calling me a clown, the worst governor. And yet we were still working together. And all that was a little bit of noise. So it just feels so familiar. And in that respect, I want to continue to respect the office of the presidency, to respect his authority, and to also engage in a constructive dialogue when it comes to issues of emergencies. But again, we had that foundation of a relationship for years during the COVID crisis, and it was a great partnership then, interestingly.
So it sounds like publicly you guys kind of trade barbs, and then privately you can joke about it, is what it sounds like.
And it's and it's a joke, and it's not. It's frustrating for people. We're sort of chasing headlines. We're chasing tweets. But at the end of the day, what matters to me is what matters. Control what you can control and focus on people and results and getting things done. And that's I think was demonstrably the case yesterday in the meeting.
You previously.
I don't know how else to put it to you guys. Imagine your husband or something like that leaves to go to work, and he's telling you, when I come back, I'll have food, the lights will be turned on, the house will be heated up, and he comes back empty-handed. He comes back with nothing. That's what just happened. Gavin Newsom got a free flight to go see Donald Trump. He probably flicked up a couple photos, and he came back with no answers. It's still, it's going to take a couple months. We want to build hundreds of thousands of homes. How are we going to do that, Gavin Newsom? This guy really doesn't care about California, nor does he care about the communities, the people that need homes. He just really good at talking with his hands. He doesn't care. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Be sure to hit the like, comment, and subscribe button if you're new to the channel so you don't miss none of the new videos that I post.